Hi, I'm Brian Yor from the Father Founders, and this episode of the Vietnam Talk, we had the honor to be hosting Robert Elliot. Robert served in Danang during the war, and he had a very special story to share with the audience. And I really hope we can welcome Robert to our show, and you're going to enjoy it. Robert, first of all, a warm welcome to Vietnam Talk, and it's a pleasure to have you here. And let me ask you where you're living now and about your life in general.
Okay, I moved to North Carolina. I'm down near Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I am retired. After Vietnam, I was in the Army in Vietnam. I went into the Air Force, and I retired from the Air Force, and now I'm just retired.
So, Robert, how come you end up in Vietnam? What's your story?
I was in Fort Benning, Georgia, and I just wanted to go to Vietnam. I heard about Vietnam, and I wanted to go, and to help the people out. So I volunteered to go.
So what year you volunteer?
I came there in 1970, and I left in 1971.
Wow. And before, where did you went before when you did the training and all the stuff?
I did helicopter training in Virginia, and then I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, and I did infantry training, and then I left Fort Benning. I went to Vietnam.
So where do you stay? Where did you came to Vietnam when you fly from the U.S.? What the first place?
I landed in Cameron Bay.
All right, Cameron.
Then I went to Long Binh, and then I went to Danang at Marble Mountain.
Wow, Marble Mountain. Wow. Yeah. What unit?
I was at the 282nd Assault Helicopter Unit.
Wow. Wow. So what kind of, I mean, you had prepared for somewhere of you going to Vietnam, and you had some ideas of what you're doing before you came to Vietnam. So what's the big surprise?
Well, yeah. It was a big surprise. I didn't know what to expect, and I just had to get used to it. When I got there, I was wondering, oh man, why did I volunteer to come here? But after I stayed there for a while, I got used to it.
But I mean, people like you came to Vietnam in 1970. It's kind of late in the war, A lot of people already went there and they went back home, and you could probably hear a lot of stories what happened over there.
Yeah, I did. I was a little nervous, but I was young, and I was adventurous, and I wanted to do things.
True. So tell me about how you remember the first day when you came to Vietnam. A lot of people talk about the heat, the smell, the people.
Well, the first day I came, when I was coming in on the plane at night, you could see down below as the rockets were going off. So when Cameron Bay was real hot, and then when I came up to Danang, Danang was better. I felt a little better when I got to Danang, and I started meeting people, and I learned about my job that I had to do, working on helicopters and stuff. So that's what I did.
But I mean, you probably met some other Vietnam veterans who came back from Vietnam before you go to Vietnam, and you probably hear a bunch of good and bad stories.
Oh, before I went to Vietnam? Yeah, well, before I went to Vietnam, I had a girlfriend, and she got pregnant by somebody else while I was gone.
Wow.
So I came home on leave, and after 1 year, they gave me 30 days leave, and I had to go back to Vietnam. And I came home on leave, and she was pregnant. So I went to Hong Kong, and then I flew back to Vietnam again. I started having friends in Vietnam. I had a girlfriend, so I began to like Vietnam.
Wow. But I had my interest both in Vietnam, Americans, and the Vietnam veterans. I hear a lot about people who went AWOL, Seoul Alley and Seoul City, places like that. I mean, you are Afro-American, you probably hear the same stories, did you?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
But you had any personal experience with people who just want to get away, didn't want to go back home?
Yeah, I had signed up after my first year. I signed up for a second
Hmm.
year, but the war was ending then, so they only stayed my second year. I think maybe 8 months, and they told me that I was going home. You know, out of nowhere, they just said, "Well, you going home?" And I wasn't ready to go
No.
home, and but my girlfriend was pregnant then, and so but I had to go.
Tell me something, Robert, because I mean, I know you for a long time. I actually never talked to you. It's the
Hmm.
first time. It's really a pleasure to see your face and hear your voice. Hopefully, I meet you one day.
Hmm.
But when you first came to me and came to my group, Father Founded, you had told me about a Vietnamese woman, a girlfriend, somebody you fell in love with.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not the first one who
Yeah.
came to us, probably not the last one, but still, it's kind of I mean, you had a story. That's one of the good reasons I want to talk to you, and I want people to hear your story. What's the story about this
Hmm.
girlfriend? I mean,
Well, she was she worked for the military. She was a maid. She was my maid. She worked for me, and so we talked all the time. And she tell me about her
mm,
family. She tell me that her husband was a Vietnamese soldier, and he was killed in the war.
wow,
And she had two children, a girl and a boy. And so we just, we talked all the time,
wow.
and so we became, close
Wow.
friends.
And what's your name? I mean, a lot of people, a lot of Vietnamese women don't have a real name. They call it Linda. I mean, Americanized name, so you can pronounce it, and you know.
Yeah. Uh, Her name was Wa.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I forgot the other part of her name. It's been so
Sure,
long
of
ago.
course. But you know where she came from? What town or what city or what area?
I know it was right outside of Danang,
Hmm.
but I don't know what the little village was called.
Wow. But you went there during the war to visit her, or she came to the area?
She came to the area.
Oh.
But in the morning, we used to go out and pick up the people, some people, but we didn't pick the maids up. We picked the ones that worked in the dining hall. So
Sure.
I never go to her house.
Wow. But she had any, I mean, she told you about her family, she showed you a photo about her family and
Not too much. She didn't tell me about her mother, her father, anybody. She just told me about her children and her husband that was
mm.
killed in the war.
How long did you stay with her?
Um, I guess about
Mm.
a year and a half, something
But you
like
stay
that.
in contact after you went back to the US or you lost contact?
No, when I went back to the U.S., I stayed in contact with her for uh, about uh, maybe about a couple of months, and then I lost
Mm.
contact. I don't know if it was because the North Vietnam takeover or
Sure.
whatever, but
Identify.
I lost contact,
Wow.
and I wasn't able to contact her again.
Wow. And so you sometimes you have any you ever wondering if you have any children together or just like a feeling you want to know what happened to her?
I don't know what happened to her, and I know, she she was when I left Vietnam. She was about like 8 months pregnant,
Hmm.
and I talked to some woman said she knew her and that she came to America.
Wow.
That she had a daughter and she came to
Wow.
America.
That's amazing.
But I haven't been able to. I did two
Yeah, I
DNAs,
know.
and but I haven't gotten his.
Yeah, I know because we put your information on our homepage, and sometimes we had people come up and say might be the father, and it's turned out the child is Caucasian and not Afro-American American. So it's kind of it's sad because you know people like you're looking for your child, and I mean you're at this stage of life, you really want to know what's happening, and it's I mean it's up all against the time, you know, and the war is over a long time ago, and everybody getting older, you know.
Yeah, I'm hoping that maybe one day my child would do DNA and then I will find
Yeah, that's true. So,
because
so I'm wondering, you want to go back to Vietnam to look?
yeah, I would like to go back one day. Before too long, I would like to go back.
True, true. So have you ever kind of, I mean, a lot of Vietnam veterans, when they came back to the US, they also had it in mind of Vietnam, the PTSD and all these things. Have you ever had this kind of issue when you came back from the war?
Yeah, I had some issues. I had to go to VA, and they helped me,
Mm,
and I pray a lot.
mm,
That helps.
wow. Well, I mean, I see you, and I saw you on the Facebook. You always sound and look like a healthy man. You do your fitness and ride motorbike, and sometimes you had your accident, but it's good. Good that nothing happened to you. And I mean, it's good. It's good to see you in this kind of position in your life and understand you still have some way of dealing with it. Because a lot of Vietnam veterans, when they came back to the U.S. after the war, they're really suffering. They had all these kind of
Right,
nightmares and have been through a lot of things, and nobody really understand it in the U.S. because they never went there. You know.
right.
And at the same time, the suffering, I mean, environment, what happened over there, what happened in the US, and I think you can relate that issue too.
Yeah, I had some issues, like you said, bad dreams and
Mm,
anger. You get angry, violent, but I I went to VA and they let me talk to a
mm,
psychiatrist, and I talked to other Vietnam veterans that are going through the same thing that I went through, and that helps when you talk to other people, and it makes you understand how you act.
true.
Because a lot of times you think that you're the only one that's going through that, but a lot of other people
Oh
going through
yeah,
the same
a
thing.
lot. But now, Robert, back to the your woman in Vietnam. I know you had some old photos of her and you and some of her children, right?
I had what? Let me say that again.
Yeah, when you talk about the woman in Vietnam, you told me you had some old photos
Uh
of
huh.
her and you,
Yeah.
and that's something you took during the war, or something she gave to you, or
Wait a minute. I didn't hear you.
you showed me one time. You showed me you had some old photos of her.
Uh huh.
Is some photos you took of her, or something she gave to you?
Uh, some of them she gave. Most of them I took.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of them because I used to take a lot of pictures. I took a lot of pictures.
So if people, I mean, if people coming up and say, "Hey, I want to help Robert. I want to see who this woman is." So how is the best way, and besides going to our homepage, but how is the best place to find you or find the photos if they want to help you to look for her?
Um, I put them on some sites, but if they, um, I don't really know what else I could do.
That's true. That's true.
You know,
I mean, Robert.
but
Uh, yeah, no, I can understand the feeling because we have so many people like you, that who have photos, maybe had old addresses, and but it's 50 years after.
yeah. But the photos I sent you, you could use them,
Sure,
for anything, yeah, if you think it'll help.
sure,
And I could try to send you some more.
sure. I appreciate that. Robert, do you have any kind of a message, anything you want to tell out here? Because I want to give you some little voice here.
I would like to tell the people that are looking for their father, that they, they a lot of the fathers want to find their children, but they don't know how to go about doing it. And it's been such a long time, and they understand that a lot of a lot of times they think that some people think that because their mother had a child by a soldier, that their mother was, they think bad about their
Hmm.
mother, but not all the time. That's not the case. Like my girlfriend, that wasn't the case. She was a decent woman.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So Robert, I really appreciate you took your time talking with me, and I still hope we can do something for you and for your fellow Vietnam veterans. And thank you for being part of this Vietnam talk. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Bye bye.